I just hosted my first ever paid mastermind event. I had over 30 people coming from all over the world, the US, Canada, UK, Europe, to Vienna to be with me in person. In this video, I want to share with you everything I learned about hosting such a paid event. When I started my mastermind, I got the recommendation to include in real life events like that. And I thought that was so intimidating. I was really, really blessed to have Sam Ovens as a mentor and share resources about mastermind creation with me. That took off a lot of pressure and uncertainty, and I was able to remodel certain things relatively quickly. And when it comes to the in real life event, I was really kind of struggling to wrap my head around it. So I was scrambling for resources and I was watching all kinds of videos, and I felt they were the most kind of risky and intimidating parts. So I thought it would be a really beautiful idea to summarize everything that I've learned, answer the questions that were burning when I, was starting to plan and organize this, and then also give you a full debrief of everything that I've learned during these few days, everything that I will be doing differently when I host the next event in a few months from now. Before we jump in, let's quickly go over what I'll be covering. What is a in real life mastermind meetup, and why should you include one in a paid mastermind? Where should you meet up, especially if you're a beginner and you're doing this for the first time? What's the schedule? How many days? How do you structure the breaks? Do you invite guest speakers? How do you make sure that everyone finds it valuable and we balance learning and growing with the sweet escape for your participants? Who pays what? Do you pay like the hotel and all the flights and all the food and just everything, or how do you structure pricing? I'm going to let you in on my pricing structure. And then last but not least, I want to share a detailed debrief with you with all those small little things I was really just able to learn because I've experienced and been through this once. Number one, what is an in real life meetup, and why would you want to include one in your mastermind? So when I had the idea for my mastermind, I actually did not have the idea. During the summer, I applied for something that's called Hormozzi's 100. And it was a program that Alex Hormozzi, together with Andrew Kirby, organized through school to basically gather some data around his books and work out a framework for people to succeed on the platform. I applied to be one of those 100 people and luckily got accepted. When I entered that, I believed that I want to have, for the first time, because I grew my online business from 0 to 6 million without a high ticket offer, I thought that my first ever high ticket offer to sell would be a done for you ads service, right? Because my background is Facebook ads and funnels, so Meta, actually Instagram and Facebook ads, and I thought that that's something I can confidently offer. When I then, shortly after I got accepted into the 100, traveled to the one-day event in Vegas, that is a in real life meetup people can win when they place in the leaderboards in the school games, and people can come if a person they referred wins in the games. And I referred one of my friends and clients, Laura, to play in the games, and she won. And so I came to those events again and I had the opportunity to ask questions. So there, Andrew Kirby actually approached me and he was saying that it's not a good idea to offer a done for you offer, and instead I should go with a mastermind. I was shocked, honestly, because I was like, who would pay me to be in a mastermind? But I got a lot of reassurance from Alex Hormozzi and from Sam Ovens, and Sam even provided me with some resources and a lot of insight. So I've decided, when I applied for the 100, that I will follow through with the coaching. And so eventually I did. And I'm so glad that I did because, during those 90 days, I actually placed fourth with a little bit over 240,000 in new additional revenue added on school. And I got my first 50 members into my mastermind. And so one of the things that they taught me was to include an in real life meetup. And I want to make sure I'm actually accurately presenting this. They took it even a step further. They said that the in real life meetups will be what will be selling the mastermind. So me, as somebody who has up until this point, the only in real life I was going to were the one-day events that I won, I was like, I'm not sure about that. Do people really, really care about it? But obviously I'm a student, right? I want to follow through. And I did include it in my offer. So my initial mastermind offer was $5,000 for the year for the first 50 participants, and then upping the price at the end of the year to $10,000 for the year. We have a mastermind only community with community support daily during the weekdays, where we have one scale plan document where I basically help the members to propel forward. We have a weekly mastermind call, monthly deep work days, additional accountability sessions, and then also twice a year an in real life meetup. And I want to say that when I sold the mastermind, that actually was not the main selling point for everyone. But looking back at all the conversations that I had, I would say that at least 50% of the people that I spoke with before inviting them into my mastermind, because I had application process and then I would invite the people that I felt were a really good fit, at least 50% of them, they were sold because of the in real life event. So they were like, I would only for the in real life events join. Now, the other 50%, funnily enough, like they didn't care at all. But now I can see even the people who didn't care kind of in the beginning when they were joining the mastermind, some of them were coming to Vienna and some of them are like, now, okay, I really want to make it to the next one. So I start to see it. And especially now that I've been through it, I can see what it did to the group dynamic. So before we met up, people were, of course, connecting in the group with each other. I could still very much see that it was about being connected to me, being in my inner circle, being able to pick my brain, getting my close advice on things, rather than really networking with each other and kind of tapping into the collective resources and brain power. And during the mastermind, I could see how this would unfold over the course of the days that we were there. So we were arriving on Wednesday, then we were there Thursday, Friday, and we had a goodbye brunch on Saturday. I could really see how people would start to bond. And I can now see it in the community. So I came back, I immediately made some adjustments based on the feedback. And now I can already see how the engagement is up and people are connected because they know each other differently, right? So when it comes to community building, and I also said that as my main takeaway in the mastermind, I have never seen something so powerful like this mastermind setting, right? So this carefully curated inner circle of people with shared values and very similar goals and all at a similar stage in their business in one way or the other. And then meeting together in real life. It has been so incredible to see what it did for the community, but also for the accountability and the momentum. And I even think for the identity of all of us. So I think it was really an identity shifting experience. And I don't think that, the people that were there are kind of the same after. Obviously, that's with any experience that we're going through. But I truly could see the impact of that. It was nothing like what I had ever experienced. So if you are thinking about creating a mastermind, I'd highly recommend including an in real life event, at least one per year, right? So I've decided ultimately that I want to do 2 per year. And after I've been for the first one, I would also say that that's a good cadence. All right, talking about where would you meet up? I have decided that as a beginner, I want the first location that I organized the event at to feel like a real home game, like a real home play, right? So I didn't want to add too many challenges all at once. So I wanted to do it in my home country. I'm coming from Austria and I live in Graz, but I wanted the city to be, beautiful and exciting and something to knock off a bucket list for people. So I've decided to do it in Vienna. Now, for the locations, I would also say if you don't have a lot of time to scout, then go through locations that you already know and that you have already experienced as a customer. I actually did scout locations and I went through all kinds of venues that I could find. Eventually, I landed on I want to do it at a hotel that also has a meetup and conference functionality. That was also kind of pricing wise a really good decision. And because it's currently winter in Austria, we had everything in one place. At the same time, I picked a hotel that's versatile enough to feel like many different locations within itself. So I really think that I gave myself the kind of easiest out here because ultimately I went with a hotel where I had already stayed as a guest. I revisited it. It had transformed deeply. So I actually want to tell this story. I was at that hotel for a Christmas party when I was still working for a jewelry company. That was the business that allowed me to tap into online marketing. And I had a beautiful boss. She was an amazing entrepreneur and she invited us to that hotel. As now it must be a decade back. Please don't, nail me down on the years, but it's a long time ago now. And I was so impressed with that Christmas celebration and with the way we were treated and with the hotel. And I remember that when we were driving home, because we had rented a bus, I was thinking that one day I want to, invite people to this place. And so when I was looking for locations and eventually I landed on hotel is probably the best idea and the most convenient one as well for the winter. I was like, what hotels have I stayed in Vienna? And this one came up again. So I checked it out. I saw that it had, beautifully evolved and was really nicely renovated and changed in the meantime. We were in the Le Meridian in Vienna. And so that felt like a really good location. And then I was also scouting it for, is there different kind of sub venues in that location? And it was yes. And when you were picking your first location, right, you would want to look for, I know this, I know how this, I can experience it as a customer. It offers multiple locations within the location, right? So it's easier for you to manage. It has a competent partner that you can talk to about events, right? So the chemistry really has to hit there. And for me, it absolutely did. So they were very responsive, and the events manager from the hotel was really quick and she was really kind. So that was a great yes. And then I also wanted the place to be inspiring. And the hotel had, with all of those different venues, it had like a little bit of a moody vibe in some areas. And then in other areas, it would feel really modern. And it was also in the first district. So it was also really, really close to other nice locations. And so that's why it was the perfect venue for me. Plus, another advantage when you can bundle all of the events that you host eventually during your mastermind in one location through one organizer, you can also negotiate a better package, right? So I was ultimately able to negotiate a really good deal on the rooms as well as on all the events and all of the food, because I was bundling my purchasing power with this one provider, right? And if you're hosting your first mastermind event, again, you would want to make this as easy as possible for you, remove it as many variables as possible for you. Now, what was the schedule? This kind of connected with it because I already talked about the events. What events did we have? I really wanted the mastermind to go beyond just we meet up, knowledge is transferred, maybe we're having a lunch break and then everyone goes home, or a few people meeting up in a bar, right? So I knew it has to be multiple days. People are traveling. I know that we always have a lot to cover, or I was hopeful, right? I was now kind of looking back, I feel so silly, but I was like, I hope we have enough to talk. I hope I have enough to cover. Of course, it was completely fine, right? We could have spent even more days just going over things and learning, but I wanted it to be kind of a beautiful balance between that and the trip feeling like a sweet escape for my members. So the first day on Wednesday, I just had an arrival day because people were coming in from all different locations. They had all different times as in when they would arrive at the event. So I would just have a welcome drink in the afternoon at 6:30 where everyone could get together, because I had first clarified with people when they will arrive. And that was a good time where everyone would be, quickly showered at least from their trip and ready to meet. I myself made sure I'm there super early for guests that arrive early. And the hotel had a little bar. So I was there with a coffee, and people who would trickle in, they would just meet us there and would just start to chat. We would order just little snacks that were really nice because the hotel was nice. And so we were already sitting there together before, like an hour before the actual official meetup. I was excusing myself and I was saying, I'm just getting ready for this. I see you all soon. So I was kind of really there just holding the space for everyone and connecting with everyone. Then before there was the official meetup where most of the people were coming together. But because we had already met before and the conversation was already started, it just felt like a continuation. And also for the new members that kind of came in, there was no, stiff vibe. The chats were already going, the conversations were already going. So I made also sure that we include food in this first meetup. So food was kind of a big point. My members said that they left a few kilos heavier. And that was also my goal. When I was studying marketing, we were learning about things that create satisfaction and things that create kind of dissatisfaction, right? So that was a concept when it comes to how employee retention, but I think you can say that the same for customer retention, right? So there's things that if they're there, people don't necessarily super duper appreciate them, but if they're missing or if they're off, people are very, very dissatisfied, right? And so there was, for example, the climate in the room, right? Or with food, it is really something where you can add that layer of excitement for people. And so I made sure that there's always nice food and there's always enough food and a nice selection around that specifically for the members, also with little signs that is for the members, because I really wanted them to feel like a VIP. Then on the second day, we were starting with the workshops. So we were starting at 9:30. Looking back, that was really good. People, they had a little bit of a jet lag still, right? Quite a few of them. Or they wanted to get their steps in the morning, work out in the gym, in the hotel, have a nice breakfast. So 9:30 was a really good time to start. And again, because it was all in the hotel, people could just fall out of their bed, right? Or come back from their walk and meet up. So we would then have a session. Then we would have a coffee break around 1.5 to 2 hours. It was a little bit depending on how, if we were just deep in the topic, we would continue. If it was, if we were already done, we would have the break. And then during the break, there were coffee and juices, and again, all kind of snacks, so nobody ever would be hungry. Then we would have a lunch break, right? So every 1.5 to 2 hours we'd have a break. The lunch break, the first day we did a buffet. The second day we did a dinner that was served. So the next time I'll be doing this, I 100% will go with the buffet. It's just much nicer for people to just go and grab what they want at their own pace. When it's served, then everybody kind of needs to wait. Certain people eat faster, certain people eat slower. And overall, it was taking almost 2 hours for the serve dinner, which was like way too long for the lunch break. So the next time I'll just organize everything as buffets with the hotel. Then we're going back to work. And eventually on the first day, I did organize after the workshop a little break. And then I had a personal city guide. So she would do an evening walk with us around the hotel for an hour, just showing us the most important like buildings and like a little sightseeing tour through the heart of Vienna. And here there was something that I think was really well done. I picked the guide. I went for recommendations, and I made sure that it is someone that really has a little bit of wit. And so she would not be boring. She would actually make it kind of interesting. And she had a little bit of a dry humor. And as she was telling this, and she was picking a few scandalous stories from the former kings and queens. So that was really entertaining and people really appreciated it. When we were coming back, we had prepared hot wine. And there, I have to say, we just had a few nut snacks. So if I was to do this again, I would again give like at least finger food that is so rich that some people would be like, I can skip dinner now. So I noticed that was dissolving a little bit quicker just because there was not enough food around. So for the next time, I would probably just have that to also hold the space. At the same time, also people then organized to go out for dinner, etc. So they were seeing more from the city that, because they just have also been through the places and got recommended the places. So not sure, if that is actually the right call. So I probably poll the members for the next time on this. Next day, we would have the same schedule, but I would also add a guest expert speaker. So Evita Barwise from Evita Social was coming on and she was doing a viral reels workshop with us. That was super well received. If I was to do this again, I'm gonna touch on this now, not in the recap. I would have an expert talk probably scheduled for the weekend or for the day before we have the goodbye brunch, just to kind of clearly separate it out from the other things that we do, because people had so many questions for Evita, right? So I would make it a little bit longer, and people then had a hard time transitioning from one topic to another and then back, obviously, right? So that should have been obvious. But just when I organized it, I didn't think that it would cause such a big interrupt. And I also now know that for an expert talk, especially if it's connected with implementation, which I think it always should be, we will probably need about 3 to 4 hours just so that nobody will fall behind. And it's also nicer for the guest expert, because I was like really feeling for Evita. She was getting so many questions. She could barely progress at certain points in the presentation that she had prepared because the members were, so keen to ask her questions. So that is something that I would change about the schedule. Then on the second day, we had our mastermind dinner. That was kind of the highlight. And I think that went really well. For the next time, I would probably have before the dinner a little kind of cocktail get together a little bit earlier so that we can wait till everyone is there and then go closed into the dinner, because a few people were coming a little bit earlier, a little bit later, and then it was not so nice for people to wait around. So the next time I will probably have kind of a aperitif, like a get together before we all closed go to the dinner, and not just the dinner is here and then kind of some people are waiting for the other ones to come and everyone is a little bit unsure. So that's something that I would change. And then on the last day we had a goodbye brunch, and that was really well received. We did that at a different location. So we did the welcome drink and the hot wine at the library. Then we had our mastermind dinner in a restaurant that was really nice and modern. And then we had our goodbye brunch in the closed up U bar, where we also had like a light up table that was really nice, and it was just closed down for us. And I really liked how that turned out. So it was kind of ending on a high note. We were also based on an idea that a member had. We were making a time capsule. So everyone was kind of writing down their thoughts after the events and their goals for the next one. And we collected them in an envelope that's now sealed for the next time that we are meeting up in person. And so that was kind of really ending on a nice, high emotional note. So there were quite a few beautiful emotional moments throughout it. I received a speech when we were having the dinner and gifts from the members. That was absolutely beautiful. That's not something you can plan, but I just wanted to share that it was like really beautiful. And if your members intend to do something for you, if you're having a dinner or get together, that's probably when it will happen. And I did kind of a final takeaway round, and that turned into a beautiful like feedback round from people. So that was also really nice. Now I did have videography organized throughout the whole schedule, and I made sure I gave the schedule upfront to members, right? Not too long, so that they can be curious, and they can be a little bit on the edges. Does she have her stuff together? Like, will this be proper? So I let them fry, like kind of intentionally a little bit, just for the excitement to peak. But then I shared the schedule. So when I was starting to feel like now they start to feel a little bit unsafe, I was like, here's the schedule, right? And so then people knew what they're looking forward to. I was also giving the schedule to our videographer, which is also my editor. Shout out to him. Hey, Benjamin, you did an awesome job. And so the videographer would also come to all of the separate events. And then at the last day, we also took that as an opportunity to ask people, would you want to leave us a feedback? And so there was a little side room where they had the opportunity to give feedback about the event. And I think from a schedule perspective, that also was really well made. So that's kind of the schedule that I had. And I'm going to talk about a few learnings from that in the kind of general takeaway, what I want to change for the next time. Okay, now next question is, who paid what? So the members pay $5,000 for the year. The future members, they're paying a little bit more because the price increased, right? And my goal, I'm taking the artist arc. If you know about the CEO versus the artist arc, the price will go up also in the future because it's my intention to keep holding the space personally. And so the members are paying for the full year. I organized the conference rooms in the hotel, the events, the drinks, the food, the city tour, and the members, they paid themselves for the flight, for the travel towards the event, and for the hotel room. At the same time, like I told you, right, I think what went well was that I bundled my purchasing power with one event provider. I did negotiate a better room rate for the members, and I paid this upfront. That's how we got a better price on the rooms. And so now I'm just collecting this from my members, and I think that was a good thing. It puts a little bit more organizational effort on you, but it's nicer for your members, right? When you can have negotiated a better rate for them, makes it easier to come. And, for you, it's something that you can add as a little benefit. That's how it went with being paid. And that's also how I intend to have it in the future. And that was something I, of course, discussed with everyone before signing up to the Mastermind event. So they kind of knew that the travel and accommodation will be something that they will pay separately, but I will provide the conference room and the food and the events there. Okay, so now the debrief, all the little details to take into consideration. So I'm going to just pull up my post. So these are just a little bit random tidbits, but I think, it's all the little details that just make this a great experience. What went well? Hotel and venue. I already talked about this. Then what also went well was the attention to details. I paid a lot of attention to details. I had a goodie bag for them. I made my custom merch for it. And this is a hoodie from the event. So they really loved that. I also put in a Red Bull because the founder was a brilliant marketer from Austria. I had Mozart Kugel and Mannerschnitte, like all of those kind of little bit traditional things. So they were having a goodie bag when they arrived in their hotel room. And I also had macarons and a little greeting written in sugar font that was waiting for them in the room. So they really appreciated that. What else? They really appreciated the private tour and those little things like, the hot wine that was like something different. So that was a lot of the feedback that I got, was that they really felt like a VIP. So attention to details, right? It doesn't cost you so much to get these done, right? And so I wouldn't save in the wrong places. And especially, foods and sweets, like that is really something where you can give someone a positive spark. Also the little kind of just signs just for these members, or having the private rooms where it's only your members, all of that kind of adds to that VIP feeling. Or, the schedule, I carefully designed it to feel exciting. So that's all the little details that you would want to pay attention to. The videography, that was such a luck that I asked, I found Benjamin, I think, on his first YouTube video. He's my editor now. I'm super happy with him. And I thought, because he gets the style that I want in videos, I'll ask him if he would travel down from Germany to actually film this with me. And he was like, I did not do this before, but I'd give it a try. And because of the way he has estimated his skills when editing the videos, I actually was confident that he can pull it off. That was a big bet, but it eventually paid off. And I want to say that took out so much stress, because I was also looking into other videographers that was, other than that, a bigger budget, and I've not worked with them before. So it was awesome for me to have someone I've worked with before. So I think what went well here is, when you have talent and you've seen a certain work ethic from them, it's okay to bet on them to also take on other tasks. Now, family support. I did, I'm a very proud person, but I do ask my family for help. This is something I've learned throughout my entrepreneurial journey. And I did ask my family for help to support me. My dad came with me. He was there throughout the days, and it was just like so relieving to know that he is there. And so he would help me with the goodie bags, and he would help me to gather the members and move them. And yeah, I've just felt so supported there. And it was so beautiful for me as well, for him to see my work like that. And then the members also celebrated him. So, they applauded for him. It was like really beautiful. He was really touched by it as well. And I was really touched that, he's getting the recognition he deserves. So that was nice. My sister's husband, he took really nice pictures and he has like a professional camera and he knows what he's doing. And my sister was also coming on the last day to meet people, and it just meant the world to me. So I would, if you have family that you want to involve and it makes sense, I'd recommend asking for support. The group dynamic, I think that in real life completely changed the group dynamic, and I think I've done this well. The content and structure. So I basically took an inventory of everything that's top of mind, and I was able to create a shared roadmap for all of us. So I think that went really well. And I was very flexible. So I was responding to the members' feedback and ideas in real time. Like, for example, beautiful Rachel, who had the idea of, shall we not kind of set goals for the next event? That kind of sparked the time capsule. And so people really loved that I was so responsive to their feedback. Areas of improvement. So one thing that was happening during the mastermind was that members, of course, asked questions. And so some members were asking very specific questions about the situation many times. And so some members found that valuable, and other members found that distracting. So I think for the next meetup, what I want to do is I want to organize quick fire feedback session for members who feel like I cannot receive new information before I don't have clarity on certain burning questions. I want to organize that before, and I want to make it optional for people to attend, because those members who get a lot of value out of those rapid fire questions, they can choose to come, and the other ones can stay away. And the members who have the rapid fire questions, they will feel relaxed when going into receiving the new information. The networking. So I will also make this optional, but I want to start the next event with kind of a speed dating for members, because the real kind of connection just unfolded as we were going into groups. And I think if I would have organized the speed dating on the first day, people could have kind of made that connection a lot earlier. And for the next time, I want them to, get to know each other even better. And I already had a new member joining us, so there will be new members as well. Next time I'll start with speed dating. Now, people loved the implementation blocks, but they gave me the feedback that it was not enough time just with them together. So for the next time, I want to organize this better. For the goodie bag, I thought that this was not a good idea because not so many people were wearing it. But now, since I said that I want to change this, I just got the feedback that it was just too warm in the hotel. I've learned from this that and I'm also, of course, already organizing it. I will do an anonymous qualitative feedback from the members, where I will encourage them to just be brutally honest about what they liked, what they didn't like, and I will also ask them about things like from the goodie bag and what they want to see the next time. I also think, for example, for the next time, so this is just, for writing down notes. For the next time, because we now have our shared roadmap, I can make this a more guided workbook. So I'm really looking forward to doing the goodie bag even more elevated. That was, I think, everything that kind of was in areas of improvement. A few things that really touched me was that so many people came, right? I don't take that for granted. It's a huge effort. It's also additional cost. So that was absolutely beautiful. The vibe was there. And I think that goes back to, I made the right call. I did not want to overhype the mastermind. I didn't promise any results. I was very carefully with the conversations, and I only invited people where I really felt like they were a good fit. And so everyone was coming in high vibe, super positive, super generous with me. They Some brought me gifts, which, they don't have to do that at all. It's not what I'm expecting. At the same time, it was really nice. I felt really touched. I got the speech, and people were with a pack of handwritten messages for me. And, others brought me their books or journals, a beautiful mug. And so, people were like so generous with me, but they were also so generous with each other when sharing their knowledge, when sharing their experience, right? All of them are very accomplished, very successful individuals. And they were just sharing their experiences and knowledge and networks openly. I was absolutely mind blown by that. And then by the appreciation that was shown not only to me, but also to my dad and to the videographers and to the hotel team. So they were treating everyone extremely kindly. So that also was a real reassurance. And then, of course, the kind of continued momentum now. We had that WhatsApp group, so it's still like ding, 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 ding going. The community is so vibrant now. There's so much momentum now. And I know that this is what people tried to tell me. And I was like, I'm not sure, but now I get it. And now, as somebody who has been through it once, I can just reassure you, it's not that scary. You will make mistakes. People will still love it, and it will transform the community that you have and the results that people get and the identity that you all share, like individually, but also kind of as the group. It will really take things to the next level. So if you're on the fence, consider running your in real life event. And I hope you found this really, really helpful. All right. So if you want to go back and watch an earlier video of me starting this, we're going to link how I started the 6-figure mastermind from a bedroom video somewhere here. And I hope to see you in this video or in another one. Thank you, and bye for now.